We welcome the Nebraska Huskers under the direction of head coach John Cook. And also joining us today are student athletes Mikaela Foecke and Kenzie Maloney. We remind everyone that we will start with opening comments from Coach Cook, followed by questions for the student athletes. The student athletes will then be dismissed, and we'll open up for questions for Coach Cook. So, Coach, your thoughts on tomorrow's national championship match against Stanford?
Well, Kelly Schwarzenblock informed me today that there's only 2 teams practicing, and we're one of them. So we're excited to be in the national championship match, and got to get to practice and prepare. Stanford's a good team, and it's going to be a great challenge.
Okay, questions for these student athletes, please. Please raise your hand. We'll bring the microphone to you.
Vicky Friedman, ESPNW, for Mikaela. Actually, for both of you guys. You've watched Stanford, haven't played them, I guess, in your career. What do you have to do to win tomorrow night? And I'm sure you saw their block last night. What about that concerns you?
I think the biggest thing for us is just playing Nebraska volleyball and really focusing on our side of the net and the things we can control. And then hopefully we shouldn't have anything else to worry about.
Yeah, I know in practice we work a lot on tooling the block and hitting high lines, so it's something we're really comfortable with. So hopefully it'll be an advantage for us to have a big block up there tomorrow.
More questions for the student athletes?
Jeff Sheldon from the Omaha World Herald. Kenzie, can you tell me a little bit about how you saw your younger teammates, the freshmen, sort of gather themselves after a little bit of a rough start last night and what they were able to contribute in the last part of the match?
Yeah, I think coming out, everybody had a lot of nerves, not just freshmen, everyone involved in that. But yeah, I thought Nicklin and Megan really stepped up when we needed them to. Megan had a great game. She was digging everything, and then Nicklin ran the show. She was just playing her game and kind of took over the match in sets 3 through 5, and I'm just really proud of them.
Questions out here in front?
Also for Kenzie, Mikaela is an excellent player throughout the season and an extraordinary player during the Final Four. We've seen this year after year. What is it about her that allows her to elevate her game at this time of year?
Yeah, we kind of talked about it in practice a few times, but Mikaela just has confidence, and she always trusts her training when she goes into big matches like that, and she stays composed and keeps the rest of us composed as well. So, yeah, I think the bigger the stage for her, the more confidence she has, and she just runs with that.
Pat Radigan with Corn-Fed Sports. For both of you, was there anything you had to adjust to with the atmosphere, with the music between the points, with just the difference of playing in the Final Four? And have you guys talked about handling that environment moving forward?
Mikaela, if you could answer first, then Kenzie. Thank you.
I think there's always a big adjustment when you're coming to the Final Four. It's in a huge stage in front of a ton of people that not everyone's used to playing in front of, and I think that just the adrenaline of being at the Final Four is a big part of that as well. And so I think the first 2 sets we didn't handle that pressure very well, and we were able to come back in the third and really bounce back.
Yeah, I just think, I don't know, there's a lot of distractions going on, like in the huddles and whatnot on the big screen. So I think just making sure that we stay focused and listening to what our coaches are telling us and focusing on adjustments.
Kevin Suits, Channel 1011 in Lincoln. Kenzie, given the nature of last night's victory, how long did it take you guys to calm down and then maybe refocus and look ahead to what lies tomorrow?
Maybe not until this morning. I know we're roommates and we were both really excited. It was hard for us to get to sleep, but obviously it was a great win, but now we gotta kind of put that behind us and just focus on taking care of business tomorrow night.
Brent Wagner from the Journal-Star. Kenzie, were you guys able to watch the replay of the match or any of the video highlights? And if so, what does that make you think about, or what plays do you notice from last night's match?
I haven't watched the full game, but I saw some highlights on Twitter and whatnot. But I don't know, I think just focusing on the big plays and the things that we did well is something that we should really take into tomorrow night, just to give us confidence and just really focus on making those big plays and not being afraid of failing and just going for it.
More questions for the student athletes?
Rachel Blount, Minneapolis Star-Tribune. Mikaela, Coach Cook has talked a couple of times about how he believes that perhaps your upbringing on a farm is part of what gave you a good work ethic and helped make you who you are. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, about the kind of farm your family had, and things that you might have learned and done during your childhood that influenced you as an athlete?
You know, I think that's really just what the people you surround yourself with. And obviously here at Nebraska, everyone's working just as hard and pushing themselves to get better. And I think that just started from a young age for me with my parents and the work ethic they have. And I'd really give the credit to them because they were great. They really exemplified what hard work meant. And so that's what I'd say.
Brent Wagner from the Journal-Star. Kenzie, do you agree with John that this team has liked practicing this year? And if so, why do you think that is?
That we've liked practicing? Yeah, I would say so. I think the main reason is just because we like being together. And I mean, I don't know, I just think the relationships that we have with each other are genuine. So it's fun to get into the practice gym and to get better and learn with each other every day.
Kenzie, given the Andy Greeter with the St. Paul Pioneer Press, given the reputations of both of these teams, does it feel kind of like a heavyweight kind of match tomorrow?
Yeah, for sure. Just because we've never played Stanford, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of extra scouting probably. And then obviously Stanford's a great program. They have a lot of great players that, you know, can terminate balls just as well as we can, so it'll be a really great match.
Jeff Sheldon with the Omaha World Herald. For Mikaela and Kenzie, with the size that Stanford has, I mean, I think there are times tomorrow where they're going to be able to put balls down even if you guys are in the right spots, or they're going to be able to block balls even if you make good swings. How has the adversity that this team has faced this year sort of developed a mental toughness that to withstand some of those discouraging plays that you might run into tomorrow?
I think the biggest thing with that is taking it point by point, and obviously you can't win every single point, and so just brushing off the last one and moving forward as quickly as you can.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And then also going through Big Ten season just really prepares us for that. And then like every team that we play in the Big Ten gets big kills and big blocks against us, so we're kind of used to that and just bouncing back and not really focusing on those kills that they get and just focusing on our side.
We have time for one more question for the student athletes.
So you're probably sad that you have one match left, but how happy are you that no matter what, you have one more news conference to go, Mikaela?
How happy are you? One more news conference.
You know, you guys aren't so bad. Really, I'd stick to my answer. No, really though, my parents were the ones, and I think that it just because of is their hard work, and I think that being an only child, you really look to them, and that was a big part of it.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Go back to the locker room. Reminder also, the Nebraska locker room is open for additional interviews with student athletes who are not present at the press conference. Okay, we'll open it up now for questions for Coach Cook. Please raise your hand. We'll bring the microphone to you. Here in front.
Jacob Myers, NCAA.com. John, did you have a chance to look at the game film from last night about the 4 total team blocks and maybe what you saw?
No. I just know what we're going to work on in practice today and what we got to fix. But it was a short night, and we've already had a full day today. This is obviously being the highlight.
Jeff Sheldon with the Omaha World Herald. John, it seems like every year we talk about more and more parity in the sport, and it looked like this year in the regionals there might have been some new faces at the Final Four, and yet here we are with Nebraska and Stanford again for the national championship. What allows these two programs to just keep reaching the mountaintop like this?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't have an answer for that. I just know I think both programs have high expectations. When players go to those schools, they know what they're in for. So there's tradition, and at both those schools, probably the cultures are a lot different from Stanford and Nebraska. I know parking and going out to eat's a lot cheaper in Lincoln than in Palo Alto. But yeah, I mean, Stanford's one of the premier programs in volleyball, and they are in a lot of sports. So.
Go here in front first and then in back.
Lee Feinswalk from volleyballmag.com, and the beer's actually better in Lincoln. But John, it's not like there's any secrets. What is Stanford saying to themselves in their scouting report for their players that they have to do to beat Nebraska?
I don't really know how they approach it or how they scout or how they prepare, but I think, you know, hopefully they're worried about our serve block and defense, and they are know that this is a team that has won a lot of big matches to get here, a lot of big close matches against a lot of really good teams.
Brent Wagner from the Journal-Star. John, you've talked about all the things you had to overcome this year with 8 new players and a new setter and a new assistant, but what are the reasons that we shouldn't be surprised that you're back in the championship match?
Mikaela and Kenzie. That's why we shouldn't be surprised. It's hard to bet against those guys. If it was legal in the NCAA, of course, it's not legal in the NCAA, but if it was, it would be hard to bet against those guys. Like I said, that's what I've been saying is I don't really know how to explain it, but that's the common denominator is those guys.
Todd Hendricks from the Lincoln Journal-Star. What's the, on the recruiting trail, how much are you and Stanford crossing paths for the top players?
Let's see. Well, we recruited, Jenna Gray visited, Adriana Fitzmaurice visited. We were the first ones, I think, to offer Morgan Hentz. The rest of those guys are pretty much from California or Canada, but so I think we do cross a lot. But I think once a player, once a student athlete, you know, has a shot to go to Stanford, and you know it's tough to recruit against that. And Stanford always, you know, makes them wait till they can find out if they get into school. So, you know, recruiting has been really early. So when they say they're waiting for Stanford, you know, it's hard to hang in there till they're a junior and then to find out if, you know, they get in or not. But so yeah, there's the Midwest kids. I think there's a lot of overlap.
Down here in front.
John, you've seen a lot of great classes in your time as a coach. Where does this Stanford junior class kind of rank up there?
Oh, I think it's, well, last year we had to beat, you know, what people said was the greatest recruiting class ever at Penn State. Illinois had the #1 ranked recruiting class, those seniors. And so we're used to playing against these top-rated recruiting classes. And, you know, we had the #1 class in 2000, which were seniors in 2016. So, you know, there's something to that, but, you know, it comes down to it's a team effort, and you got to play well in these big stages.
Brent Wagner from the Journal-Star. John, how does it change your team when Lexi's son is having a good match?
Well, it helps us be balanced. She bails us a lot of out-of-system type plays. You know, and last night we were out of system a lot, so, but, you know, it takes the load off Mikaela, and, you know, we're going to, tomorrow night, we're going to need to have everybody hitting on all cylinders attacking-wise. So we're going to have to be balanced, and we're going to have couple people have to have some big matches.
More questions for Coach Cook? Okay, back again.
What stands out about some of those secondary contributions you got last night from people like Capri and Megan and Haley? What stands out about those?
Well, like I said, I mean, we can't try to think Mikaela can carry us against these teams, and so we always promote and try to get our team to understand that everybody contributes and that everybody has a chance to help our team win. And we typically, after matches, we're giving positive reinforcement to a Megan Miller or a Capri, what difference they made. I mean, we've been building that all year, so they feel like maybe it's one kill, maybe it's one dig, maybe it's one ace, but that could be the difference in a match. And you know, last night if you look at total points, it was a 2-point difference, and that's the way it is this time of year. And so every point really matters, and you got to fight for every point. And anytime those guys can make a contribution or find a way to get us a point, it's a huge deal.
If I could ask you now that she's done, Jordan Poulter, in your time in the college game, where does she rank as a setter? And what
As
are your
good as
thoughts
any
about her?
setter I've ever seen. She's as good as anybody. I think Sam and her are two very elite setters. I think Jordan has more potential to go beyond college just because of her size. But I'd rank him with any setters I've coached against in the last 25 years. And I think Jordan, and the thing about Jordan this year is I saw her leadership with that Illinois team. I mean, she willed that team, and she got that team to probably play better than the parts that they had, especially at certain times. I mean, they were phenomenal.
John, how does your talent on this year's team compare to some of your other best teams at Nebraska?
I mean, like last year, I don't think we were by far weren't the most talented team. I don't think we have a first team All-American last year. I don't even know if we had a first. Oh, Kelly, we had one first team All-American. I think Stanford's whole team is All-Americans. So we, 2007 was the most talented team I've ever been around. So I mean, there was Olympians. I don't know how many Olympians we have on that team? 3 Olympians. So if we're comparing apples to apples, I'm not sure how many Olympians we got on this team, but so I don't know if that gives you a reference or not. But
Any more questions for Coach? One more here.
So all that being said, how would you rate yourself this year for having taken a team with so many new players, a freshman setter, and I don't know if you've already started looking for the next assistant coaches since they seem to leave you every year. Talk about yourself a little bit, if you would.
Well, Lee, last year was a magical year for us, and so I thought, well, it doesn't get much better than this. I think this year's gone up another notch because we've had so many new players. We're playing so many young players. Jalen's a very young coach. I mean, it's really his first time in women's volleyball, and to be the #1 defensive team in the country, with a 5'9" setter, it's not Poulter up there blocking. Poulter is a great blocker, for example. So I'm very proud of what this team's done. I've really, really enjoyed the process because of Mikaela and Kenzie. And last January, as soon as we got back to school, I called those guys in. I said, here's the deal. You guys are captains. And they both looked at me like, what? We're captains already? And I go, yeah, it's not. It's by default because we really don't have anybody else. You're going to be the captains because I don't think either one of those guys were going through their career like, can't wait to be a captain. And then the work that we did to develop those two as leaders, the work we developed to bring everybody in and build this team and get to where we're playing for a national championship is pretty special. And it's been a really cool process. And you can hear it when these guys talk about how close they are, how connected they are. Again, that is not just something that just happens. That is a lot of work. And it's pretty cool to be around student athletes when they invest in that, they believe in it, they trust the process, they work at it. And we had several times to implode the ship. I mean, we lost 3 in a row. Everybody, all these guys from Nebraska are like, that's all I'm reading about is we've never lost 3 in a row, and we're lost 5 out of 7 or whatever, and these guys didn't even flinch. And so it's pretty rewarding. And I think, and that's what you want as a coach. You want to see your team get better and go through the process and peak at the end. You know, and I was looking at, I think, Mikaela and Kenzie's record now in the month of November and December. So remember, this is November in the Big Ten for 4 years. Counting those matches, I think they're 52-2. So we're pretty prideful about that. It's pretty cool.